I know, everything.
It's developed some beautiful ladies, hasn't it?
You know what I say?
Yeah?
You know what I mean? It's underneath.
Oh, yes,
So that happens.
but it won't happen until we spend
I think it goes down
When striving leads you far from home, in fancy or in poverty, forever always look to me. I will give you what you need. I will not say my love away.
Well, I saw fireworks from the freeway, and behind closed eyes I can't make them go away. Cause you were born on the 4th of July. Freedom ring, well, something on the surface it stinks. I see something on the surface, well, it kinda makes me nervous. Who say that you deserve this, and what kind of God would serve this? We will cure this dirty old disease. Well, if you got the poison, I've got the remedy. The remedy is the experience. This is a dangerous liaison. I says the comedy, is that it's serious? This is a strange enough new play on words. I said the tragedy is how you're gonna spend the rest of your nights with the light on. So shine the light on all of your friends. Well, it all amounts to nothing in the end. I won't worry my life away. I won't worry my life away. Well, I heard two men talking on the radio in a crossfire kind of new reality show, uncovering the ways to plan the next big attack. Well, they were counting down the ways to stab the brother in the be right back after this. The unavoidable kiss with a minty fresh death breath is sure to outlast this catastrophe. Dance with me, cause if you got the poison, I've got the remedy. The remedy is the experience. This is a dangerous liaison. I says the comedy, is that it's serious? This is a strange enough new play on words. I said the tragedy is how you're gonna spend the rest of your nights with the light on. So shine the light on all of your friends when it all amounts to nothing in the end. I won't worry my life away. I won't worry my life away. When I fall in love, I take my time. There's no need to hurry when I'm making up my mind. You can turn off the sun, but I'm still gonna shine. And then I tell you why. Because the remedy is the experience. This is a dangerous liaison. I says the comedy is that it's serious. This is a strange enough new play on words. I say the tragedy is how you're gonna spend the rest of your nights with the light on. So shine the light on all of your friends when it all amounts to nothing in the end. 'Cause I won't worry my life away.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all the St. Mary's Old Girls who are here today. It's so fantastic to have so many people celebrating our school's 130th year. I must start by saying apologies. You know, in true fashion, we can't live with it and we can't live without it, but technology rules our lives, and we've just got a bit of a slight glitch streaming into London. But on that note, can I say we do have about 35 old girls in London today who are joining in the celebrations, or will be joining in with us, but they're having their own celebration at the same time. It is fantastic to see so many reunion years, 60 years all the way down to 5. And some of us who don't have special key reunion years, but fantastic, an amazing turnout. So thank you and well done to everyone for making the effort, and many of whom have traveled from far to be with us. Our celebration today is twofold in that we wish to salute this wonderful school, St. Mary's, who for 130 years has excelled in educating women. We also have to celebrate the many generations of remarkable women who have been educated in this school and who have achieved significance in all spheres of society, whether it be in the arts, the sciences, commerce, community, or sport. I do have to say on an administrative note, today does mark the official AGM of the All Girls Association, and the minutes of which are available on request or on the school website. Could I call on somebody to endorse and second these minutes, please? 1, 2. Thank you so much. As I just want to say that we are really privileged to have a selection of past and present staff and old girls who are going to walk us down memory lane today. We thought it would be a light-hearted way to celebrate this amazing school and its 130 years. We're going to celebrate from where we have come, where we are, and the exciting future that lies ahead. And so without further ado, I am going to hand over to Sue Grant Marshall, class of, am I allowed to say, 1960-something, who is a renowned journalist, and Sue's going to take over from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Now, can you hear me? Because if not, they're going to rush up with the mic. You can hear. If you can't hear at some stage with all technology, as Liz has said, please won't you scream at the back, we can't hear you, you know, and then we'll know what. So, I am the chair of this meeting. I'm sitting in one and I am it. And I was a head girl in 1966. I've come out this year about my age, being part of the media. 10G, you know how we of us in the media, whether it's advertising, videos, you know, journalists like I am, author, whatever, we have to look as if we're young forever. So I'm trying my best, but yes, 66. And what have I done? I've been a journalist for ever many years, and I was launched from St. Mary's. That's a story. I don't know if there's time. I'll tell it. And I've just finished my 3rd book, and I'm doing a quick spiel here. I hope no one's going to be cross. Where's Deanne? And my 3rd book will be out at the end of October, and it's about Lady Khama, Ruth Khama, a white English woman who married the chief of a black tribe in Botswana, where I was born and grew up. Please look for it. It's called Your People Will Be My People. And all of you here should know about it, because guess where that comes from? The book of Ruth in the Bible. Yes. So now, Ross Howler has just asked Miss Nathan, who is Wendy, sitting next to me. Anyone who doesn't know Wendy, go home. So,
No, don't.
so you know, I was supposed to introduce everybody, but I can tell you, if I read all the amazing achievements of everyone sitting up here, we'll be here till well after our allotted time. So I'm just going to quickly say who's who in the zoo. And so as you've gathered, this is Wendy Nathan. Wendy.
Yay!
So Wendy, were you here when I was here? Well, anyway, she
I
got
was
here.
here when everybody was here.
Okay. And Wendy was a slip of a young girl. I think she was about 15 when she rocked up here. And she was a sports, this, that, and the other. All the Grant girls were in the hockey team, swimming team, and tennis team. You couldn't get away from us. And she then went on to become deputy headmistress. And if you want to add anything to that in a minute, you can, but not yet, because I'm going to introduce 10G but actually 10G, Stamela, as you all know, and I mentioned this to 10G when she arrived, Stamela's a song and Stamela's a group, And I'm not saying that Tenji is of any of that, but she's a big deal in the media, in advertising, video making. She's
Not anymore, not anymore.
but she was. You're a big
Once
deal
upon a
once
time.
you've been a big deal. You never not.
Yes.
Okay, and then Tara Turkington, who's actually my sister, even though our names aren't the same. Tara Turkington started her amazing with her sister Tiffany, amazing company, which I featured in City Press because I do a column there. Flow, like flowing communications. It is one of the best in Joburg, if not the best. So if you ever need any form of media, Tara Turkington is the person you are going to turn. And then we have now, darling, Parien Yatwa. Wow, I got it. Okay, so everybody calls you. Sandy is the youngest among us because she got her certificate of freedom last year. She left St. Mary's last year, and she's a terrific speaker. She tells people what they should know and what they don't know about the generation. She speaks on many platforms, and today's one of them. Roz, why are you laughing?
I'll tell you what she said about me being an old person one day.
Okay. Roz, who for many of you does introduction because she's still at St. Mary's. She started, like Wendy, you know, doing the whole tennis, hockey, etc., etc. And now she's the deputy principal of the school. And really, Roz, you and Wendy, you know, whenever we see your faces, we just feel, hooray, we went to St. Mary's. It's a
Yay.
fabulous feeling.
Good. Good.
So
Thank
now, Wendy, I'm going to ask you, there were 3 topics given to us. Choose whichever one you want. Start.
No, I'll just do my own thing. 'cause
She's
I'm
doing
the
her-
old- Yay, I like that. Hello, everybody. It's lovely to see you all, and I have taught all of you.
Sarati's brilliant.
I must tell you, I came here in 1962, and I have a confession to make. I always taught every lesson, and when I taught every girl, I taught everybody as though I know everything that the girls don't know. There's no girl who knows more than me about anything. And that's how I based my teaching. And having met all of you again, I was right. I've served under 4 heads, all of whom gave something different to the school. I was here for 1 year with the sisters. I have to confess, I wouldn't have stayed if they'd stayed.
Me too.
But I do want to tell you something that I'm sure you know. Today there are at least 4 or 5 women, can't call them girls anymore, who were matrics the year after the sisters left. That was 1963. Now, Kim Geller, Kim Teron was head girl. And I want to tell you, she's about the best head that I ever had. Because they ran the school, because we didn't know how to.
The same still happening today, Miss Nathan.
But, so we didn't know one thing, because the of whom I was asked once how many nuns there were at St. Mary's, and I said about 30. There were actually 6. And so when they left, they did everything. Did nothing but teach at extremely low salaries. My salary was 102 Rand a month. So I just want to say that lot, that class of 62, did a fantastic job. I've got lots more to say, but I've been given instructions by... In fact, you know what? I was quite annoyed today. Sue sent me an email telling me what I must wear. Leslie and Dry sent me an email telling me I must say something funny. And if you want to know the truth, I'm jolly annoyed about the whole thing.
So Wendy. It's why we love her, because everything she says isn't true. Now,
Put it on Twitter.
Tara Turkington has a story to tell us. We were given headings, and I don't know which one this falls into, but it involves a snake. Go for it.
So, just first say, can you hear me?
Mhm.
I did a very official survey on Facebook, and it was statistically valid, I believe, and it was indisputably proved that Phelps was the best house.
Yay!
Thank you.
No. Intent? What else will you intend?
Could I just interrupt
Yes.
and say, I don't know why Tara's talking about her house, because I've only got to know her since she left school, came to games. I don't know how she got out of it.
Okay, so quick story about a snake. My friend Helen Lichmir-Ertel, one of the things is how it teaches you creativity, innovation, friendship, how to be yourself, right? So Helen is a great lover of animals. She's a teacher, but her real job is she looks after 23 dogs and 7 horses and 2 cats now. But she always loved animals. And she had a snake called Spike. It was a bright green bush snake about that long. And one day, I don't know what possessed Helen, she brought it to school. And it's a girls' school. So it was winter, and Helen put it in her blazer pocket so it could keep nice and warm. And she went off to a biology test, and she wasn't very good at biology anyway, but she sat there and she just checked as the test started that Spike was still all right in her pocket, and Spike was gone, of course. So she started looking furtively around the classroom. It was those high desks with the long legs in biology. She started looking around, very worried now. What had happened to Spike? Imagining being expelled. I mean, you would have got expelled for something like that back then. Now it's much easier. But and Mrs. Vontenaar saw her looking around and said, "Helen, keep your eyes to yourself." Anyway, needless to say, 10 minutes later, she saw the snake going down the leg of the table. She grabbed and she put it back in her pocket. The bell rang. Disaster was averted, but Helen got naught for her test. Anyway, that's the story that one thing was your memories of Mary's. I remember that story.
Yes, so that's fantastic. I grew up with snakes in Botswana, so I love that story. So who are we going to next? Who wants to speak next?
Come on,
Tenji.
youngsters.
Tenji.
I guess I'll go.
Whatever, shall I?
What's in
Yeah,
Mary's
what are the
left you?
topics?
A memory of St. Mary, a reflection on the school. Did it do anything for you?
So I think for me the most sort of vivid thing that I can remember about being at St. Mary's and my time here is just how it's taught me to be very intentional in the world, and particularly for me when it comes to being a feminist. It's not just a belief. I think it really is like an active thing. So how you empower other
How
women,
you live it.
how you know, in the workplace, how you live it. And I remember, so girls' education for me, and my coming to the school was I was never supposed to come to the school, given, you know, where my family came from, you know, how much my parents could afford. And so one day, just randomly, driving past the school with like white walls. And my mom said, and I was like in grade 6 or grade 7, my mom says, "I'm going to take you to that school." And for my sister and I, we're twins, we were like, okay, haha, not going to happen. You know, it was just like those beautiful white walls, something amazing happens inside there, it's not for us. And she didn't really have a plan, but what she did was pick up the phone and call the school and say, "I have 2 girls and I'd like to take them to the school." And I think it was Sue the phone, and she said, "Okay, great. Can you afford to bring your girls here?" And my mom said, "No, but we're going to make a plan." And she said, "Okay, great." And she gave my mom the numbers for the student sponsorship program, which we then applied for, and they could have put us in any other school, when you apply for student sponsorship program, but they Mary's.
Wow.
And so that lesson for me has been, well, number one, you can do anything. So where do you want to go? Do you want to move your life to Jakarta? You can do it. Do you want to go to that school? You can do it. Do you want to learn how to sing like the amazing girls here at the jazz band? You can do it. And that was my experience at St. Mary's. Like anything I could do. And that's very empowering, especially for women, for young women in the world. And that, for me, is just a true testament of how to be intentional.
Love that story.
Yay!
It's so full of vibrancy and determination. Now you, Sandy, okay, this is our baby.
Along the lines of what Tenji had said, that coming to St. Mary's teaches you to be intentional. Definitely helps you find yourself. For me specifically, I've got 4 older sisters.
Wow.
I'm 15 years, there's 15 years between me and my eldest sister. So, but the younger one who's near me is only 3 years. But going to school, I was always Cece's little sister, even asked Miss Howe. She used to call me Cece.
Don't tell my secrets.
Sorry.
Make me look good, yeah.
you do. I mean, even when I came to St. Mary's, I was little sister, but after she left, I was in grade 10, and that's when I kind of left my identity as Cece's little sister and took on Sandy Le, my own identity. And yeah, I found that through St. Mary's, and then I got very involved with things like FIDA, where's Jan? Not here.
Yes, there she is.
Oh, hi Jan! With things like FIDA, and then I went on to be head girl, which was very unexpected of me by everyone. So even by myself. So yeah, it teaches you how to be, you find yourself when you come to St. Mary's, encourages individuality. But yeah, that's my story.
That's it. Oh, I love that. So Roz?
So I'm very fortunate because in the last while, since Miss Nathan's left, how long have you been gone?
Nathan all the time.
I'm not interested in discussing time. So the only thing that Miss Nathan and I both know is we're the only two on the stage that never put makeup on. Am I right?
But we don't need it.
Yeah, we don't. But I arrived at St. Mary's on the day of term 2 in 1985 for a job interview with the one and only Miss Nathan and Mrs. Pitt. And much like Miss Nathan, I've been privileged to have worked under 4 headmistresses at the school, and I find the most daunting one to be Miss Nathan, who was never the headmistress.
But Ross, why don't you rattle off the names of the headmistresses?
The headmistresses was here in the 80s, and what a wonderful, wonderful woman who made a remarkable impact on the school. She had to make some tough decisions, which were not necessarily always supported by the entire community, but what a forward thinker at that time. I came from the Eastern Cape, which Miss Nathan has always told me is the sadness, although I do know that Wendy said she went to Wickham, and that was the only school she knew where you were paid not to get an education. It's true.
St. Mary's.
But I arrived at school and walked into the house, and in those days, confiscations was the lost property, which is no different today. There's just as much lost property, and the school was pumping because it was the last day of school, and that was in the end of August, the start of August in 1985, and I've never left. And I don't know what that says about me, but I think this is one of the most special places I've ever had the opportunity, not that I've had too many to compare to, ever had the opportunity to be involved in and work for. And the thing that has struck me the most is how every single girl that I've been privileged enough to
engage with and teach, or not even teach, because Tara definitely didn't teach. She couldn't get to hockey practice at all. But the St. Mary's girls are unique. And that for me is what makes St. Mary's such a fantastic place. I also had the privilege of working under Judith Brown and Meg Farger.
Yes.
And of course, Deanne King, who has been our head for the last 10 years and has done the most wonderful job embracing what this new space in this country is all about. So, I go around and see some of the head girls. Sunday, you never ever surprised me that you were going to be the head girl. I see Nicola White over there now. That was a surprise. I won't mention Steph Delaray, but we'll keep some of those things for later.
Okay.
But I just think it's a fantastic thing that the school, 130 years, it's just amazing, educating women that is just special. So I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you.
Oh, Roz, thank you.
Can I say something?
I'm going to jump in now. You can
Okay.
after me.
Okay.
So, Wendy's trying to take.
Sue's just taken over here.
I'm the chair. You know, these days you've got to get it all right and everything. So then one of the things that it's been suggested we can talk about is what we've taken from the school, what the school did for us. As I mentioned, I come from Botswana, which was Betjane, and born and brought up there. And I thought I was pretty tough, you know, growing up with the snakes and riding this wild horse that used to, my dad got her from the cattle post, and she used to run for the nearest thorn tree and then try and scrape me off her back. But when I got to St. Mary's, and this is what the school gave me, I learned how to be tough. And I've taken that in as a journalist. You're looking a bit surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, good, okay. Because we would sleep up here. They've glassed them in now. Ask the fact that we used to sleep in the cold, in the minus like 8, 9, 10 temperature. Oh, their hands up there. They've shared that experience. But I left here very, very tough, and it's helped me a great deal. Wendy, what did you want to say?
No, I just wanted to say that with 4 headmistresses, not counting the 5th, Kim Turon, because she just ran about organizing the school. Each head gave something different to the school. Ms. Wormsley gave us, she kind of improved the academics because we were not great. In fact, we're the only school I know today everybody's got to be a winner, but I haven't actually ever known a school who had an honours board where if you got a 3rd class matric, you got into the honours board. And I don't talk about that often, but I am telling you. So she brought a feel of excellence to the school. Mrs. Pitt I can't even describe her because she really understood how to be, possibly because she had 5 children of her own. Yes. I think that made it easier. Yeah. Now, Mrs. Brown, she actually, the interesting thing about her was that she cared about the staff. It was the first time that had happened. Mrs. Pitt was from an age where you didn't talk about money. It was regarded as really not you. You didn't mention money, you didn't mention salaries. But Mrs. Brown came, she built us a new staff room, we got cover for our cars, so I look on her quite fondly.
Yeah,
tea?
Sandwiches?
Yes, we did.
Sandwiches?
We
did have to fight the girls about the cover for the car, but we'll save that for another day.
So there were 4 women who really different things to the school, and they were all terrific, really. You do notice, though, 2 VPs, 2 phys ed teachers. Don't know what you want to make of that.
So listen, darlings, just jump in. Anyone who wants to pick up, or I can haul you out. Anyone?
Well, I'd just like to say that when I first came to St. Mary's, Miss Nathan was the first team hockey coach, and the head girl at the time made to come and see me and tell me that I was not really welcome to be the first team hockey coach because they wanted Miss Nathan to be their coach.
You know, I've always liked that girl. Yates.
And talk about having to be tough. It was a bitter pill to swallow because Miss Nathan actually employed me to be coach.
I mean, Mrs. just come from, I think, being the South African coach and the South African captain, and Jenny Yates thought I was the best. I think what more can, I think that's loyalty.
Absolute, that's what Miss Nathan.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. and Tenji or Tara?
Hello.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I just remembered, by the way, that I managed it, but I never once got in the swimming pool at the school until my very last day of school. I don't know how I managed it because there were like swimming trials every year, and you had to do swimming trials. So I don't know what story.
I think you got a note from the drama teacher to excuse you.
So on the very last day, I tell Ms. Howell, I've never actually been in the swimming pool. I've never swam in this pool. And I got in, jumped in my full school uniform and swam like in my best, like...
I know why she wasn't in the swimming team.
Exactly. So I just remembered that. But what the school gave me, I think, is sort of what it looks like when people care.
Yeah.
So in matric, I don't know why. I think I was just tired. I just slept through matric classes.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know how I matriculated, but I slept through everything. And Miss Gray, and she like tried so hard to make sure that I wasn't sleeping. So she developed this like every like 5 minutes we would get up and do brain gym. Where's Miss Granger? She's there. Police. Do you remember the brain gym? The brain gym was like you would have to stand up and like rub your ears and then go. And for some reason, it fires up the neurons in your brain that makes you able to pay attention a little bit longer. And it's so ridiculous now because I would get home and laugh with my sister like, oh my God, like this lady really cares about me. Like, I don't mean to fall asleep, but she, instead of like shouting at me and sending me to the principal's office, she made a plan. And thank you so much. So that's what it looks like when people care, right?
Oh, yeah. Jump in there because I was head girl, and I don't know how many others there are. But I think I might have the dubious record of being the first head girl to be sent to the headmistress, and that was Miss Wormsley. She said, which anyone who's of a certain age here will remember Miss Wormsley, and the thought was so terrifying. I was being noisy and obstreperous, she said, in the biology class. I didn't want to cut up the frogs.
You, Sue?
Yes, and I said, please, I've forgotten her name, the biology teacher. I said, I'm the head girl, you can't send me to the headmistress. Sandy, did you have something like that?
No, not at all.
Oh.
Where's Miss King? She's at the back window. No, Miss King and I were best friends. Miss King? Yes. No sense the head. I people to Miss King.
Oh.
And they were naughty.
Okay.
But no.
Yeah, what about... I'm sure you were sent to the headmistress.
All the time. Actually had my own spot outside her door. And a few years ago at Old Girls' Day, Tracy Webster, who was actually very naughty.
Is Tracy here?
Yes,
She is.
Oh, there. Yes.
Tracy and her friends. I mean, I don't want to really say. So there's no
No,
tweeting
say.
going on here, right?
Say.
This is all off the record.
Off the record.
Hashtag
Tracy and her friends had a bit of a ring rubbing the tuck shop.
Now it comes out.
Now.
Bella, will you
Anyway, it was quite well organized, and there were people at certain points, so that if the teachers were coming, it was chip coming. Meanwhile, other people were stealing chips under the. Anyway, I'm sure that happened only maybe once.
Yeah, I would think so. got wise.
She's now she was then like the head of the Branson School of Entrepreneurship. So we can figure out where Tracy learned how to be an entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur. Oh, yeah. Yes.
But anyway, a few years ago, Tracy and I had a lot of drinks. I mean, it doesn't happen often. And then at the end of Old Girls Day, Roz Howell, we asked Roz Howell, can we come and see your office? Because it's where Mrs. Pitt's office was. And we were in there so often, we wanted to see our old stomping ground. So she let us sit in the chair where Mrs. Pitt had sat, and it was a big thrill. So I was, unfortunately, I was in the headmistress's office a lot. And another that I just remember, Miss Nathan, you remember deportment badges?
I do indeed. I do.
And I'm not going to say the words back inspection. I'm not.
No, don't.
No. But anyway, you had these little badges about how, well, you carried yourself. And it didn't matter what I did. I got a -5 every term. Every term.
She never tied her
hair
back.
I really, there was a short time when I really tried. She didn't even notice. So what I did was I just said had +2, and I wore it for the rest of my school days.
So we don't have a lot, I mean, you can't win them all, So you've got a Tara.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Ross, do you still do these various?
No, we don't. Those stopped when Wendy left. No, I'm joking. No, I don't have deportment because it was very, very hard because there are many more Taras than there's only one Tara now. But the most important thing is that those wonderful times, traditions, things that happened in the school, obviously they change as we move along.
Yes.
And we used to have to do roll call at sports games, afternoon games. And I'll always remember.
Don't you do that anymore?
Speak to Miss Quicks. Speak to Miss Quicks. We don't do roll call. But what happened one night after tennis, I was doing the tennis and I ticked everybody and whoever was there. And that night I left the jolly register on the table, which was the concrete table outside, and we had one of our proverbial Joburg storms. And the next morning, so I know exactly how the girls felt, the next morning I was summoned to Miss Nathan's office to ask me for the register. And I did not have a damn clue what I did with that register. Well, I then walked to the tennis court, and to my dismay, it was completely soaked. I will not tell you the lambasting that I got in that day. But you know what? You might not remember it, Wens, but I learned my lesson about the tennis racer.
I remember that.
You do remember it?
I do.
Yeah. But I'll tell you.
Because Ross still loses everything.
You're right. But I would also like to tell you that Pip and myself were summoned to Mrs. Pitt's office one day. Puds, are you here? Can I see you? Yeah.
Where's Pips?
Can you remember Miss Tor?
There she is.
Oh, there we go. Miss Tor and I took the tennis girls on tennis tour to Durban. And on the way back, driving back, the swimmers were also there. It was one of those trips. On the way back, I think it was, might have been Parktown Boys, but it might not have been. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this. The driver of the Parktown Boys bus pulled next door to our bus, and the boys passed notes to the girls. Of course, I was driving, so the girls quickly wrote return notes, and I pulled next to the Parktown bus, and the notes were swapped. Monday morning, Mrs. Pitt called Philippa and I into her office because somebody had reported that the St. Mary's bus and the Parktown bus were driving badly, and they were absolutely right. I don't know if any of you have ever been given a dressing down by Mrs. Pitt. Well, we got that dressing down. And Tara, I feel sorry for you, Michael. I left there in a very different state to when I walked. I thought she was going to say, well done on a great tennis tour. Well, that had nothing to do with it.
So enduring memories, mine of St. Mary's is as white, if not whiter, than those umbrellas. It is snow, and I can't remember the year, but I think it was the heaviest snow that Joburg, proper Joburg, and it wasn't just a little sprinkling. I've got pictures of us throwing snowballs at each other out near the hall, and we had the most fantastic snow fights. Our our dormitories, as I said, were open to the blizzards and the snow. And I can remember one of my many cousins, there were 10 of us here, not all called Grant, and we didn't form a mafiosi or mafia or whatever. And one of them went home to her mum and said, the poor Codrus Grant girls are going to freeze to death. Into the elements, take blankets, take whatever. And so Aunt Lucy rocked up with all of these, and I can't remember who was it. Well, it must have been Miss Walmsley. Was shattered to think that little creatures here were obviously open to the elephants. No, the elements. Oh dear.
That fruit juice has got something in it.
It's got something in it. So did you have whiteouts here?
No.
Sandy?
In 2013 when it snowed,
Yeah.
I was at St. Catherine's, so I
We also
wasn't
had
here.
snow in 2013.
Yeah.
So
I
but
do
it wasn't
remember one
a big
incident,
snow.
though, with Miss Walmsley. She used to love walking around the school staff. Now, we didn't want to do that because we were always on the fields. Anyway, we were walking, and there was a games teacher here called Margaret Mackenzie, who was a very strong lady.
Very.
Anyway, we stopped, and nobody moved. And Margaret and I were dying to move on to get it over with. And then I noticed that Miss Walmsley was very thin and with very slim aristocratic feet. And we found that Margaret was standing on her foot. But we were so well bred, we didn't like to draw attention to it. So we stood there for about 10 minutes until I managed to push Margaret off her foot. And Miss Walmsley was well bred, so she didn't show that she was in agony. She didn't even limp when we walked off.
Gee, that's hilarious.
But I'll tell you seriously what I like about St. Mary's girls, and I mean this, always said it. A, you all do so well when you leave school. Even if you do nothing, you do that well. And the other thing is that you stay friends forever. I think that's a terrific thing.
It is. Yes, it is.
Anything else, you guys? So, I might as well, seeing that I've been here longer than all of these guys, not longer than Miss Nathan. When you did email us a long time ago, I haven't read it again, but talking about my most endearing memory, there are a few, but coming from where I came, I was blown away by the drama productions that the school put on. And it had nothing to do with my friendship with Philippa Sandilands, because I remember coming to one night where someone was supposed to paint the backdrop, and we stood the whole night while she looked at the backdrop and didn't paint one thing while she was deciding what the hell she was going to paint. So that put me off the artistic space. But I will always remember My Name is Alice, because it was a feminist review and it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for those of you who remember, we had a little Jack Russell that used to come to school. Her name was Alice. And of course, Nicola White, who shouldn't have been head girl, who was head girl. Nicola White brought Alice to me, and I had to go to Mrs. Brown and say, can Alice be at St. Mary's? And we also had to phone the caretaker of our flats to say, can Alice be at St. Mary's? And it was just the most wonderful thing that little dog could run around the school.
Yeah.
And I always remember that this was unique for someone who came from a co-ed school where that would never, ever have happened. So, not because it was co-ed school that it was like.
She got a story about dog poo.
So,
Tara's
got a poo story.
Yeah, she's elevating the conversation.
So we were in grade 8, and we were in this classroom here, which is now the boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this teacher called, well, I won't name names, but she was really boring.
I wasn't here then.
And she used to come to class very tired and very bored. and we hated her. And 14-year-old girls can do. We terrorized her.
Oh, no.
So one element of terror was I had a very large shoebox full of... And every day when she walked in, I mistakenly, on purpose, dropped it on the floor.
Oh.
Just as she came in, which took at least 10 minutes to clean up. But the terror was elevated one day when someone brought a plastic dog poo to school. It was really realistic. So after break, when we were having Afrikaans, we put it by her desk. So she would come in and we put some water on it just so it looked really realistic. She came in and she sat down, and by that time I had been moved to the front of the class under her nose. And she said to me, "Tara, pick that up." So I just walked up and I picked it up in my hand and I walked out the class.
And?
Well, she just never talked to me again. But we did it about 3 times. To 3 different teachers. So that was very, but it was very funny. It was funny.
Funny.
I can't.
Yeah.
Wait, I can't not elaborate on the drama education. Miss Sandyland, oh my goodness, completely shaped my life, and we were so good as well. We were actually ridiculously good. We were such snobs.
And
so
humble. And humble.
Okay.
Humble. And humble. And
very
honest.
humble, but also so good.
Yeah.
Just so amazing. Like amazing, like huge, huge. I'm joking.
Maybe the best ever. The best ever.
And the drama productions, I remember so well, like how hard we worked to put that stuff together. My goodness, I think that was the hardest that I worked for anything. And subsequently, I ended up studying theatre and performance at school. But I remember when Phumzile Sithole, who's now actually on Orange is the New Black on Netflix. She's doing amazingly.
Wow.
She's doing fantastically.
Wow.
And she actually convinced me to go and audition for UCT Drama School, but not for like general drama, because we don't do general. She was like, we have to do the specialized program. Like, we have to go and do like acting. We have to be actors. And so she and I was like, okay, I mean, I guess so. And we got and we were like the only two who were like so serious about this, like warming up in our blacks, like, oh, like so serious and like critiquing everybody, like those people warm up their voices. Oh my God, you know. And subsequently, that's she's doing amazingly well. Anybody else? Aliki, Saragas, just like our drama education is not just about.
Darling.
Even
with drama, she can't project to the bottom of the clothes.
And
the help is at hand.
I'm not used to this microphone.
But I don't think they were the best. Because in our year, we had Janine Azer. She won an Oscar.
Oh.
She won an Oscar for screenwriting.
So,
I think our year was the best, actually.
Give us some time.
Are you serious?
Give us some time. We're getting there.
Oscar.
Yeah, but we took it so seriously, and I absolutely love that, because especially in this country where people don't take the arts seriously, and don't take the place of the arts in society seriously, just to say, hey,
yes, it's very important.
You can change society with theatre, with film. Oh my goodness!
What about for Z?
Well, you know, when was Hal wasn't trying to recruit you for the hockey
the
team.
world with that?
Yeah, so that, I mean, that was just amazing.
What did you say, darling?
Okay,
Let's let these ladies have wine.
And lunch.
What?
Wine and lunch.
That's enough for
us.
That's
Okay.
enough from us.
That's
so,
enough.
darlings, thanks very much to Roz, Sandy, Tara, Tenji, Wendy. You'll say there isn't a miss amongst us, or and cheers, and thanks for all joining in with the laughter, the fun, the jollity. London, are you there? Is London there?
Is London on track?
If you are, is London online? Are they what? Oh, London! You missing? Oh, come home. All is forgiven.
Good show.
Thanks, everybody.
You're not on.
I just want to say thank you so much to the panel. We're not going to waste any more of your time. Please get on and enjoy your afternoons. Catching up. Can I just say that there will be, the photographer is here and for another half an hour. So please make sure that you guys get your year group photos done so that we can share them with you all. Okay, thank you. Have a lovely afternoon and thank you so much to you.
Should we do Oh and the Saints? Wait.
Yes! Oh, when the saints, oh, and in marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, I'm gonna be in that number. Oh, when the saints go marching in.
Let's go!
Oh, when the saints.
Oh, when the saints
Go marching. We don't know this one.
Wait. We've got to do this properly. We've got to do this properly. We're going to do the war cry. The war cry.
Yes, the war cry.
War cry. Connie girls, let's go. Okay,
Come on,
one. Voices, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. I want to be in that number. Oh, when the saints go marching in.
You can try. You can tell she's an actress. She can't stop. She can't get off the stage.
Well done, darling.
Give me a moment and I'm taking it all.
I can see
Thank you
that.
so much.
Nice to meet you.
When I met you, well, I stayed patient and I was kind, telling you to take your